is about the Indic ideas of leadership. Yadyada charati shreshtaha tattat devetaro janaha sayat pramanam kurute lokas tadanu vartate. A karma yogi. That is one word that truly defines the Prime Minister. This leadership which is from the power within, and that power is the power of intuition. My mantra for leadership is be selfless, be fearless, and a little bit shameless when it comes to following your convictions. Good evening and namaste to everyone assembled here, and hearty congratulations Mr. Balu for bringing to light the leadership legacy of the Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi, and I also welcome the other dignitaries on the stage, Sabharwal ji, WMG Group, for their effort to again gather people under one roof in order to celebrate an idea called leadership. And I think that's the most important part. If I can borrow from your book, where you have quoted extensively from our scriptures, the Indic knowledge system, he quotes from Bhagavad Gita, Yadyada charati shreshtaha tattat devetaro janaha sayat pramanam kurute lokas tadanu vartate. Very simple Sanskrit, which means, as the noble ones act in the society, the kind of examples they set, they are emulated by the others, by the ordinary people. And therefore, to set example for the society is the noblest of the services that we can offer. And this book is about celebrating one such example of leadership, which we all know now as Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji. I am happy that somebody took the courage, because it's not easy to balance out all the aspects of his personality and still bring out a book without either references or prejudices, in a very balanced way. That is the first thing that I wanted to congratulate you for, because it's easy when it comes to Mr. Modi ji to get biased. His persona, his charisma, and all that he has done can always sweep you off your feet and you would end up doing hero worship. But somewhere drawing that fine line and staying very objective, at the same time proving it through several examples, both spiritual as well as social, that how in his personality there is a blend of this enlightened leadership, which is the combination of spirituality and also the social side of things. I think in India alone has this model of leadership. When we look at the Western models of leadership, they are the models of, I would say, karmi, in the sense the action, model of action. If you can prove yourself, you can be the leader through your actions. And on the Indian side, we have the concept of yoga, where we are performing actions, yet we are neither the doers nor the enjoyers of the action. That's a tall order if you look at it through the prism of the Western philosophy. And then there is this synthesis of both, called karma yoga. And I think that is one word that truly defines the Prime Minister, a karma yogi, which is the highest that one can attain while performing actions in the society, yet remaining detached and absolutely equanimous. I'm so thrilled that when I was reading the book, all these wonderful concepts that are inherent in our scriptures have come out in a beautiful way. And you have given examples. You have not just given some kind of a concept, but you gave examples of how these concepts have been put to practice, how problems of the society on a daily basis, they have been solved using the same fundamental concepts of selfless service, tyaga and seva. The idea of sacrifice, the idea of service. And I think that drives Indian leadership, where the leader is not about himself, it's not about leader desiring to be a leader or leader deserving to be a leader, but it's about leader wanting to serve, and therefore he needs to be a leader. So servant leadership model is what comes out when you say you are just an instrument of the divine and you are here to simply execute the divine will through your good instrumentation. I have had a couple of encounters with the Prime Minister in the last 10 or 12 years since we started working in this field of social development and service. And every interaction has been very enlightening for me, and it gave a glimpse of the personality of the Prime Minister, where some of these finer aspects of spirituality that is so very blended in his personality along with all his political acumen comes out so very clearly. I remember the first one 12 years ago When a message was there, he was still the chief minister of Gujarat, and the message was conveyed to him that he is bound to achieve greater heights and do more for the country. And his simple, humble answer was, I am just a servant of God. Wherever God seats me, I will happily sit there and serve him. This is the answer coming from then the chief minister of Gujarat, who went on to become the prime minister of this country. Plato said, all philosophers should be king and all kings should be philosophers. He proposed the idea of philosopher king. And I think we have one. And in our Indian parlance, we have the idea of the King Janaka, who was Raja Rishi, who on one side was absolutely spiritually rooted in the values of a spirituality, which is again Atmano Mokshartam Jagat Hitaya Cha, which he quotes quite often. And that's also the motto of Ramakrishna Mission, which influenced the Prime Minister in his early days and still does so. On the other side, he is also a Raja. He is also a leader. Raja is not necessarily a king. He is a leader of people who has a job at hand, which is to lead the country, lead the people towards one common future. And I also read some of those wonderful examples that you quoted in parallel, like Lee Kuan Yew and others. But I must tell you, their challenge was nothing compared to the challenge of our Prime Minister. Singapore became what it became, definitely due to the efforts and a very decisive and almost bordering autocracy, the leadership that was given by Lee Kuan Yew in those circumstances. And today we look at Singapore, I go to Singapore quite often, and I see they missed out one point. They got the development right, they got the social harmony, they got all the religious harmony and all other boxes checked. But one thing that the spirit of leadership, that spirit of compassion, the spirit of kindness, the spirit of camaraderie that weaves the societies together, somewhere I find it missing. People are very self-centric, they are very well-to-do, they are doing very well for themselves around the world in most of the developed countries driven by that kind of leadership. But here we still celebrate our diversity. We still learn to live, accept, not just tolerate each other and continue to march towards that one vision of Vikasit Bharat, which is not possible without this beautiful vision that, or the slogan that the Prime Minister gave. And every time he improves upon what he has said before. He says, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas, and most importantly, Sabka Prayas. Citizen engagement that you talk about, that is something, Jan Bhagidari, is something the Prime Minister has asked us all to participate in our own way, in whatever way we can. So volunteerism, through social service, through just being a good citizen by following the constitutional roles and responsibilities, whatever it takes. But it takes the whole of country to uplift the whole of country. It's not the job of just one Prime Minister or one Chief Minister or one bureaucrat or one social or spiritual leader. It takes the whole of the country to progress, to push this country towards that great vision of developed India. And I now just would like to remember what happened in the last conversation that we had just before our medical school was getting inaugurated. The Prime Minister gave us the time, he gave us 15 minutes, but it went on to, I think, 40 minutes with his attenders, interrupting the conversation several times at his office. But he kept on telling them to wait because he was trying to learn about what we are doing, how we are doing. He was asking questions like a student. Coming from the Prime Minister, it was very humbling. Because he was asking, so when you do this kind of service, whether it's morning nutrition program, what are the challenges? What are the experiences you have had? When you want to build a university where you want to produce the next generation of teachers, educators for the society, what are the difficulties that you're facing? Do you have satisfactory results? Are you facing some challenges? He kept on asking and inquiring. And what made me really appreciate about him being a leader is his hunger to learn. Most of us, when we reach a certain place, we decide that we know everything. And then we don't want to learn from anybody. But his humility to sit down and listen and learn. Great listener, great listener. Every sentence, every word he was capturing, asking questions, nodding. But this doesn't come from many leaders who think they are a very superior race of beings and who do not need to know and learn from anybody. Now that is something that lifelong learner in him. And recently he was telling to some of the college students that I have kept the student in me alive. And that helps me to learn, innovate, to come up with solutions and provide all these kinds of visions that our country needs at this point of time. Last but not the least, the most important quality, because this book is about the Indic ideas of leadership, how we derive from our heritage of our scriptures, our culture, our history, our traditions. And one of the interviews, which was very recent, he mentioned that I am just here to do the will of Paramatma. Imagine the national leader saying such thing on a public platform in media, saying मैं परमात्मा का दिया हुआ जो भी कार्य है वो मैं करता हूँ और मैं सब में परमात्मा के ही दर्शन करता हूँ. I see God in all and I think that I am just an instrument of God. And that's inspired leadership. There is this instinctive leadership, the alpha leadership, where people become leaders because they have that in them. They are aggressive, they are powerful, they are pushy, but that is all self-preservation. Then there is leadership from intelligence, when you use all your understanding, skills, knowledge, information, and counsel at your disposal. And that's how you lead a country, that's how you come with frameworks, regulations, and visions. But that leadership, again, can have an element of selfishness in that. But this leadership, which is from the power within, and that power is the power of intuition, the power of conviction, that gives you the necessary strength and courage to plow on. And that intuitive leadership is selfless leadership. Because that thought, that inspiration has come from a supreme source of divinity that resides in all of us. And when the Prime Minister can say it on national media, I can as well say it being a spiritual leader, so-called, in a forum like this, that we should depend on that power, which is that intuition within us. And the only quality of that intuition is, it's clear, it's precise, and most importantly, it's selfless. So my mantra for leadership is be selfless, be fearless, and a little bit shameless when it comes to following your convictions. So thank you, Balu, again for this wonderful opportunity. And I'm happy to be here to celebrate this occasion of your book. And I hope you'll write many more books. Just now he was telling, once I am done with my government service, I will write another version of this book. I'll wait for that.